Hello everyone, and let's talk about how AI is making the one-person association Creative Studio a true reality. Namely, there was a University of Montreal study showing that AI is now outscoring average human creativity. And this is a study that came out that used a model that's over a year out of date, the GPT-4. Newer models are, of course, quite a bit better than GPT-4. And the older model, human creative staff, creative study participants still were better than that older model. I think the top 10% were better than the older model, but we don't know how they would perform against newer models. In fact, I ran a LinkedIn survey for my over 30,000 followers on LinkedIn that showed that of all respondents, when asked about their one primary use case, 70% say it's for brainstorming, research, and analysis. And that's for newer models. And so clearly people are using it for brainstorming, research, and analysis as the top use case for many, many folks. And so here we're seeing that models are great at creative tasks that are very important in things like member outreach for associations, for continuing education credentials, for advocacy messaging. Now, it might be the case that highly creative staff can still hold a distinctive edge over older models, but it's not likely to be the case against newer models. So human advantage needs to shift from ideation, from brainstorming, because models can do a lot of ideation, a lot of brainstorming, even if they may not be quite as good as the top humans. We don't know that. There hasn't been a study on the newest models. They can do it so much faster and more expansively and search all sorts of spaces and ideas that humans might have trouble thinking about. So human staff, association staff who care about creative production must center on stakeholder empathy with their members and cultural fluency in understanding what is appropriate for the membership of your associations. Machines, in other words, are generating idea abundance. Humans are providing the stewardship, editing, and guidance. This is the newer roles that we must move to. So there is a transformation from manual drafting to strategic orchestration. Staff roles need to shift from ideation and production to idea review, because one person can now simulate a full creative team from their laptop. So whatever you think of creativity in your department, in your chapters, one person can do it all the creativity, all ideas, if they know how to manage the model well and how to prompt it effectively. So the University of Montreal study shows that effective prompting of the model creates substantially better outputs. And so that's something that you need to be thinking about. And of course, you need to be thinking about guardrails. So having NIST AI risk management framework, to have tool ownership and standards for review as part of facilitating the creative process, with security protocols to keep personal member data in your secure cloud, then clear incident handling. You need to have good policies, but this is all built on top of the fact that the AI is becoming so much more creative. I'll tell you about a professional association I worked with that had a bunch of core staff. We trained them on shared prompts and brand standards, and year one results showed that there was a 27% lift through more creative materials, more responsive to member needs, and so 27% improvement in retention. So lift in retention through more creative outputs by the models, by the staff using what they were trained on. The automation of creative tasks over that first year saved about 140 staff hours weekly for example, new continuing education programming and marketing and so on. And so that is a great saving of time. So it was both more efficient and more effective, meaning using less resources to get the same tasks done and doing tasks that had a better impact, like 27% better retention. So thinking about that one-person creative studio, where you don't need as many people in a number of departments to get the same work done, You can, of course, use those full-time equivalent staff hours to do more complex tasks. The nice thing about associations is that they have, unlike private businesses, which might be competing with others in their market, associations generally aren't competing with others in their market, or at least not that hard. And so there's a lot more things that you can do to expand your membership. The thing that you're competing against is, of course, people who are not renewing their membership or not signing up at all in the first place. And so you don't have to have staff lay off staff just because you're doing the same things with less time. You can have staff do more things and improve both retention of current members and new member signups. So that is how you want to be thinking about these tools. The strategic investment of the time that's freed up can be used to improve your retention and your recruitment efforts. So future staffing needs to focus on direction and judgment over routine drafting, over routine ideation, over routine idea creation and brainstorming. You need to focus on learning AI skills and using them effectively, focusing on each staff member being empathetic toward your members and understanding what they need, and having cultural fluency with their specific tone of your profession and requirements. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Future Forward Association podcast. Please leave a review for whoever checked out the podcast and sign up for the podcast wherever you listen to it or viewed it. And if you have any questions, please email me at gleb, Gleb, at disasteravoidanceexperts.com.